Hello, hello. Welcome back to the Gunn Show. I did not mean to rhyme, but it definitely rhymed. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or Google, we appreciate you. If you're watching on the MTDCNC YouTube channel or website, well, we got some great guests with some great smiles today. And I got author co-hosting with me again. And my guest today is a good friend of mine, Katherine Satterwhite. Now, I'm not going to jump into that just yet because I have to thank all of our new guests who have stumbled across us today. If you purposely landed here, awesome, thank you, we appreciate you. If you accidentally landed here while Googling muscles or weapons, I apologize, I have none of those. But Katherine might. She might talk about it. She lives in Texas, so who knows? You know, Texas and Florida come together. But author's up in Canada, so he might have muscles. Definitely not the other one. However, before we get started into Katherine's story, I love women in manufacturing. Katherine and I did a video not too long ago, kind of spitballing a few minutes of her story. And I was like, dude, we got to get you on a podcast. There's so much more to this. Plus, in that 5-6 minute video, we were splitting time with her colleague as well. So I want to give her a bit more of the spotlight as I'm fascinated by her skills and skill set and background. So let's thank our sponsors and let's get into this story. Revelation Machinery, we appreciate you. Keep doing what you do, helping people sell their machines for good prices. Everyone wins. EBITDA Growth Systems, we love you. And in fact, what do I have? Where is my here we go. This Mont Blanc pen from my buddy Dave and Mike over at EBITDA Growth Systems. We appreciate you. IMTS 2025, 2026, and 2024. AMT team, thank you for being a sponsor. On our new sleeves, we have the 2026 logo on there. American Precision Museum right here. I got an authentic mini sharper. It's so cool. So happy about that. We got Shop Floor Coffee here to my right. I don't drink coffee, but I hear great things. I drink a ton of tea. So for you coffee drinkers out there, they give back to manufacturing. So instead of your go to the grocery store coffee, give these guys a buzz. They support you. They're supporting them. It's a full circle of awesomeness. Who have I left out today? AMT, EBITDA. The NTMA. We love you guys too. I was honored to be an opening and closing keynote for you guys, and Engage is one heck of an event every year. Your audience continues to grow. Your membership continues to grow, and deservingly so. So I look forward to what we do this year. All right, I'm done rambling. I am done rambling. Katherine, let's get to you. The intro is over. Now it's your story. Katherine, thank you so much for being here. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, it's a lovely day in Texas. It's about 60 degrees and sunny, so it's pretty perfect in Austin right now.
I didn't realize that you actually got that cold where you. I was. When did I come see you? November, and it was about 1.5 degrees.
It was hot.
It
Yeah.
was hot,
No,
hotter than
January,
Florida was.
February
But
was, yeah. January, February are always our cold months. I think Christmas was like 80 degrees and sunny. It was a beautiful day. But January, February, it's always going to be a crapshoot, you know? So
and you guys are going through a cold front kind of right now. Like Dallas is getting whooped, aren't they?
they are. So last week we were down in we had some freezing days. Thankfully it didn't collide with any rain or precipitation of any sort. So, we got to go about our business as usual, but it did get pretty frosty. Some plants look a little sad, but we
Did you
move
build a
on.
snowman?
No,
Like
there was
Frosty the Snow. No, it's bad
no.
joke. Dad jokes. I tell you, Katherine, you gotta run from me before it's too late. All right, let's get off of the weather here. Author, I'm going to give you a chance in just a second. But, I always use LinkedIn as our online resume, and your online resume is astounding, Katherine. So I'm probably going to get some of this missing, and you can fill in the gaps. But I'm looking at Southwestern University, Bachelor of Arts. I'm looking at Sales Associate at Bath and Body Works. Oh, how sexy. We got lead server. I was a server too, but I did like Pizza Hut, and I ruined a few pizzas. I did that for a little bit. SNL music intern. I kind of want to know more about that. Let's see, you got primetime sales associate and Wolfram Manufacturing, which is the big one, 12 years and 4 months. Operations manager, office manager, and you just got a new title. Am I mistaken?
You were not mistaken. I don't have the title yet. We haven't landed on it, but basically moving in the HR kind of role. So HR and customer service smashed together to make me, I talk to the people so the engineers don't have to.
That's fair.
And then,
And the engineers don't want to talk to anybody anyway. So well done. I thought somewhere it would have like queen in the title. Like,
I mean, that's my unofficial title, but
right. When I was knocking on your door, when I was looking in through the window, seeing if you want to join me for camera, I could have swore it said like something about a queen, the boss, El Jefe, something like that.
HBIC is maybe what you saw.
And what does that stand for?
Head be in charge.
Ah, I like it. All right, Arthur, I'm hogging all the time. Let's open it up to you, buddy.
Yeah, well, I really want to know what inspired you to even get into manufacturing. I know Tony mentioned you were in a few other industries, but now you've had all this time with Wolfram. What had you come over?
Yeah, so like I said in my interview with Tony a few weeks ago or months ago, I just kind of fell into it by accident. I grew up in a family of engineers, so I've always kind of had that mindset, but I knew I didn't want to be an engineer. So my parents met at UT in engineering school. My mom was the prettiest woman in class out of 200 people, there were about 4 women. And so my dad sat next to her and then followed her home and she made him cookies. And that's how they got their start. And yeah, 5 children later, I'm number 4 out of 5. I think my brother is definitely an engineer. My other brother did land surveying for a long time, engineered like mindset. My older sister was bored in engineering school, so she switched her major and now she's an attorney in Austin. And my little sister does big data for some pretty impressive companies. So,
You know what I learned from that, Arthur?
What's that?
Be careful who you give cookies to. 5 kids later. 5 kids later. Be careful who you give cookies to.
sure.
All right, Catherine. So what do you think? 12 years in, 12 years and 4 months, a couple of title changes, working with a bunch of engineers who typically only want to hang out with themselves, not typically outgoing, but you have a super cool boss. I love Nathan. Incredible. What is manufacturing? Okay, let's do a 2-part question. What was manufacturing to you in the beginning and what has it evolved into?
Okay, that's an interesting question. So at the beginning, my thought was like food industry, like mass production, how it's made, kind of like that's what's in my head as manufacturing. Either that or like super craftsmanship work. So there was not like this kind of in between. Yeah, I didn't really, before I stepped into the shop. So even after I got the job offer and before I stepped in the shop, I hadn't seen a machine tool. Didn't really understand what was happening.
I
What
still don't. I still don't. So if you've learned, good job.
I've learned some, you know. But yeah, so manufacturing in the beginning was just mass production in my mind. And now at this point, I've seen the full range, and it's messy and it's never perfect. And even though you can plan and have a perfect plan, and in theory, everything works out on like your software with your tools, there is always something that can go wrong and will go wrong in manufacturing. And that's kind of one of the unique things I find about it, and challenging and fun and exciting, is there's something that's always going wrong and you have to figure out why. And it's always a puzzle. So it's never boring. It's never this like easy, just cranking out thousands and thousands of parts. I mean, you might be, but they got to be right, so.
Those Swiss turning people that are selling the machines will say, no, it is that easy. Trust me. Thousands and thousands of parts. Just press go.
Until your 16-inch end mill breaks on it and you make a stack of thousands of bad parts. Yeah.
Oh, no. You got that little thing on the inside of the machine that may let you know that an end mill broke, right? And that a bad part's coming off.
Right. Sure.
We have those.
I know.
Okay, so
no. We got T-Mac. It doesn't register. I mean, but those tools are teensy tiny and hard to spot when they do go wrong. But there are tools in place that, we've learned our lessons here and there, but.
You're giving me flashbacks now, Catherine, but 10 years in the micro machining world at 50,000, 60,000, 90,000 RPM. And if something broke, especially during a demo, because you aren't set up to know when something breaks, you can't hear it. It's not going to ping against the glass. You really can't even see it till you hold it up to the light. And I'm like, did I make a hole? So yeah, I can feel your pain when it comes to the micro stuff. Arthur, how we doing, bud? What do you think so far?
I am here in Mexico today at Expo Santa Fe because we're going to talk TECMA. Now, TECMA is the trade show here in Mexico to attend. If you're going to attend only one show in Mexico this year, attend TECMA. And why is that? Well, we have this big conversation about nearshoring and reshoring right now, right? Well, Mexico is the backbone for the infrastructure that we might currently be lacking in the U.S. to have that support here in Mexico. Will now take place from June 18th to June 20th at Expo Santa Fe, Mexico City. If you're gonna bring your significant other, we want them to be able to go shopping, and this is a very familiar, comfortable area. You can go shopping, enjoy yourself, there's restaurants everywhere, and safety is key. Here, you have no problems.
Yeah, I like what you touched on there. It's not an if, but when things go wrong in manufacturing. I always like that because you got to be able to respond. You got to be like agile to be able to respond to it and have a good skill set. And it sounds, as we're getting to know, as I'm getting to know more about Katherine, I know Tony knows her fairly well, but it's like that's what brings the joy for you, which is I'm of like mind. That's what kept me interested in manufacturing and how I've done my career. So I would wonder, like, what's one of the ones that you were most surprised that you handled well? Like, where there's just this wrench thrown in and then you responded and you're like, oh, wow, I rocked that. I know you're probably a rock star in all of it, head be in charge and all that, but I'm curious.
Oh, I feel like, it's kind of where the human resources is coming through is handling situations when, people are injured or, there are these terrible, hard situations and my employees need me, they rely on me.
Mhm.
And I feel like I excel when it comes to stepping up for them, and taking care of them, and the company and making, just everything smoothed out. So I have some situations that come to mind, like there's two distinct ones, but probably shouldn't get into that too much with HIPAA and all that, but
Yeah, that's fair.
nothing terrible. Everybody's alive and has all their digits but there are some scary moments that happen when you're working with sharp things that are heavy and so yeah, when I can step up and just handle it better than anyone else in the shop, it feels pretty empowering to me.
I have seen a worst case scenario of your description where people did not finish with all their digits, and it was not a great day at the shop. I tell you that. Have you ever had that happen, Arthur?
I've been there when someone lost an arm. That
A
was
full
not a good
arm?
day.
Mine was I was
Yeah.
on finger.
No,
Ah.
they lost their arm in a radial arm drill. Yeah, it was not good. We're talking, it was like a 2-ton assembly with a giant, like 2.5-inch high-speed drill bit, and the whole thing got thrown and pinched their arm, and not a good time. We don't need to go into more graphic details. They lost an arm.
I may or may not be nauseous right now, and my heart
Yeah.
sunk, dude. Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I did not mean to drop something so heavy without any warning.
Oh, where's our alarm button for that, buddy? Oh my gosh. And this is
Sorry.
not the best segue for what I was going to ask Katherine next, which is a lot of times, Katherine, we've been in the let's say the light right now. We're trying to shine a light. We're certainly shining it. I hope people are paying attention to the potentials and possibilities of what manufacturing can bring to a family. A lot of people out there are really mistaken, and I was as well before I got into manufacturing, but truly mistaken about manufacturing or trades in general is the place where people go that can't get into university, the dropouts, the failures, the losers, the people who can't get good grades in school. And this is the fallback plan. And that's just not the case. It's not the case for the majority. I mean, people are seeing how successful they can be. So to make a long story long, like I always do, and from the perspective of a woman, which is fantastic, have you been able to provide or help provide for your family during this journey? Has manufacturing brought you a decent style of living, if not a great style of living?
Absolutely. So my husband is a musician, so I'm kind of the primary job keeper. You know, I bring home the insurance and the consistency that manufacturing does. I mean, we have consistency in our industry. Even through the downtimes, like we were able to lean and keep working through. It's part of the great company that I work for, and I get to be a part of this team. But yeah, just the consistency that Wolfram's given me and ability to, you know, try out kind of different hats here and there. You know, I started as part-time office manager, moved very quickly into full-time office manager, went on maternity leave, and the day I came back, Nathan said, the operation manager role is yours if you want it. I said, yes.
He must have missed you.
He did. Yeah, it was only 6 weeks, but man. I missed work, and I missed Wolfram, and yeah, it was nice to come in with that kind of new title. And you know, I brought my kid to work. She's grown up in the machine shop herself. Like, I have her pictures of her sitting on the forklift on my lap, pushing machine tool buttons. The machine tool was powered down. It was locked out, tagged out, but I have her like pushing a button when she was real tiny. And then she comes and likes to build Lego in my office every Friday. So she hangs out with me while I finish up for the week, and it's great. Yeah, and then just as far as family goes, like this company is such a family. I've seen my coworkers have kids, and you know, I've had a kid, and just really grown together. And it's great to see, and it's great to see all the kids out. We had our party on Saturday, and a bunch of the kids came out, and they've gone from little bitty to like, you know, teenagers, you know, working in their own stuff, and it's just fascinating to see the growth. And I really do think it's a family industry. I think it's important for all kinds of people, and yeah.
Let's dive into that a tiny bit more, because you mentioned that, and I totally agree with you, of course, but I can't give the perspective of for women, and we need more women here. You said you fell into it accidentally. I can concur, empathize, sympathize, whatever you want to say. I fell into it accidentally as well. But what can we, and you and I have just recently had an interview, and I believe I've asked you this question already, but I have to do this for the pod. I want to do this for the podcast as well.
Yep.
For the women out there who maybe don't know what they want to do, and there's a lot of stereotypical jobs out there about what women are supposed to do, and we want more women in manufacturing. We're throwing up signs, come please, we need you, you know, that kind of thing, right? So for someone who is undecided for the world of women, what would you say to them that it doesn't have to be an accidental, but a true choice, and a great, you've already, that's the reason I did the career thing first, actually, and if you're able to take care of your family and your household, because I want people to understand that firstly, but you did it on accident. I did it on accident. Author, you on accident or on purpose?
On accident.
Authors on accident. But what happens if we actually pursue this career? Does that leapfrog us ahead of, you know what I mean? So what kind of advice would you offer to young ladies out there who don't know what they want to do or don't want to fall into the stereotypes?
Yeah, that's kind of lands me on Alyssa, who you also had a chance to speak to. Young woman, super bright, mechanical engineer, went into manufacturing engineering for college. But I am super excited to see her growth, because she is starting in manufacturing, so eager and excited about this business. And one thing she says, it's like, she has brought to me, so I'm going to quote her. It's like manufacturing is like arts and crafts for big girls. So
she said that in our interview too, didn't she? That was an awesome quote.
I love it. Like, manufacturing is arts and crafts for big girls. And I think that speaks volumes about kind of the range of skills that you need in manufacturing. It's not just about, you know, being able to run software or being able to, you know, talk to people. It's connecting those dots. It's about thinking three-dimensionally, and looking at the whole picture, thinking about problems in a new way, bringing that kind of calm, steady presence to manufacturing. A lot of times it gets chaotic. And when people can step back and take a look at it, I think women have a kind of a special, unique way to do that. It's just like we are raised as multitaskers, right? Like women are good at detail oriented and multitasking, and boys will be boys and running off and doing their thing. And that's not necessarily like a born difference, but it's part of our culture. It's how we are. But being able to handle all of the multitasking stuff all at once has helped a lot in manufacturing, because there are so many different things happening all at once and so many risks going into every decision. And you have to think about all of those things and kind of come to a conclusion. So I think somebody jumping in at manufacturing, like full feet, like 2 feet in, like right out of high school, and being a woman, like the sky is the limit. Like, girl, open your own company, do your own thing. Like,
For the first time ever, I'm going to share the authentic story of nearly 30 years of manufacturing. My childhood was hard. A lot of abuse, a lot of poverty. I never got anything. My clothes came from secondhand stores or my grandparents. I was actually in what the police would call a gang. But it came from this angst, this anger. I was so mad as a kid, all the time, just mad. I wanted to hurt people. And I played a ton of soccer, right? I was right at that professional level. I was right there. I mean, practice squad for DC United. I was 6th leading scorer in the nation in college. How did I get into manufacturing? Well, I had a child coming, and I needed to find health insurance that didn't have any pre-existing conditions.
just go own it, figure it out.
I love that. And I couldn't agree more, honestly. I mean, truly, it's I've had this discussion not too long ago. We did a webinar. We've done some panels. We've done some keynotes. And we talk about regularly, when people think about manufacturing and engineering, that direct word is almost, well, I'm not good at math and I don't want to be in a shop, so I don't want to get into it. But as a general rule, there's accountants, there's human resources, there's office managers, there's people on the back end, people on the front end, people who do sales, whatever aspect. If we think about what truly is the backbone of this entire world, it's manufacturing. It's the trades in general that make everyone's life easier. And it's not just standing in front of a machine, although I love standing in front of a machine and making parts, but it's not all. So if anyone who's looking for a solid career, I'm really trying to build this foundation on this podcast with Katherine to just, it can take care of families. It can be joyous. The sky is the limit. Be an entrepreneur. If you want to help the world create something, build something, there's no better place. Arthur, how are we doing here, buddy? Are we stealing it? I mean, I see you shaking your head. You must be into this one.
Well, I really like the quote that you said, Alyssa said, with its arts and crafts for big girls, because I always look at, a career in the trades, a career in manufacturing as a way to be creative, rather than, the kids these days that just like to create on their phones, and, TikTok reels and all that social media stuff. They already have a love of creation, but if they know they can have a viable career, so in manufacturing or in the trades in general, because there's so much involved. So I have a question for you, Katherine. Let's say you're in a stadium, okay? You're up on stage. You're not afraid of public speaking, are you? Well, okay. So you're in there. Let's say you're not, and you've got 1,000 young women that are in middle school to early high school. They love arts and crafts. They love what you're talking about when you said, it's like arts and crafts for big girls, but they're on the edge. What's one thing you would tell them to like have them take that leap?
Try everything. Just try it. Just get out there and do and try, because you won't know if you really like it or really love it until you try it. And it's okay to be thoughtful and precise about things, but sometimes you just have to say yes, which is why I ended up on this podcast with Tony. He's like, come do this. And I was like, just say yes, Katherine. So here I am.
That's also how I ended up here with you guys, with both of you.
I love when people say yes to me. It's working out really well. I only do it in the nicest way. I would never bully anyone, just in the nicest way. So, all right, Catherine, let's give a shout out to Nathan and to Wolfram as a whole. What you guys do, maybe drop a website if you want to. We've done a factory tour there. I walked around with Nathan. I've been friends with you guys for several years now. Did an open house with you and Karen Engineering a few years back in your older building, but you've leapfrogged, and I'm going to get the numbers wrong, but 6,000 to 50,000 or something like that. I mean, you've leapfrogged into a much larger space over the last few years. I see in your eyes that I'm not exactly correct on those numbers, but let's talk about Wolfram. What, at 30,000?
Yeah.
From where? From what?
6.
Okay, 6 to 30. So only 20,000 square feet off. Perfect. Sounds like my normal math. So yeah, let's give a shout out to Wolfram, what you guys do, what Nathan's created, where you can help people. Drop a website if you want.
Awesome. Yeah. Website wolframmfg.com. We started out as a job shop, just making, contract machine shop with this eye for, or this kind of different way of doing things. Instead of hiring like classic machinists, Nathan was saying that kind of was dying out as a job in the United States. And he wanted to make sure that manufacturing existed for his kids and, the future generations in manufacturing in the United States. So instead of going to hire a machinist, he hired an engineer straight out of college. Instead of starting with a lot of different manual machines and a bandsaw and all that, he started with a multi-axis Akuma B400 with high pressure, two turrets, all the bells and whistles, and just said, if you want to cut a hole in something, figure out how to use the thing. So we had a job shop. We ran contract machine, a lot of oil and gas heavy. COVID kind of kicked us out of that industry and pushed us to look at different industries. Now we're doing consumer product parts, and it's going super well. We're up to 16 machines at this point. And we have 36 employees. So it's awesome. Part of that company that we built is our own software company.
I was gonna ask you how well versed you are on that, because Arthur will nerd out on this part.
Yeah.
There's a software company?
Yeah. So we like to consider it as like a production planning or production overview software. It's watching the machines so that an operator doesn't have to sit there and watch the machines. It's reporting out how many parts it makes. It is helping the operators change tools, so it will stop the machine at a calm point. It's called pre-flight. So like if you are going to take off on a plane, you want to make sure you have all the right checks and balances before you're in the air. Same concept. So like if you have a critical maintenance item, OnTact is going to say, hang on, you can't start the machine until this critical maintenance item has been taken care of. Or this tool has been changed. So it connects super well. And it allows Nathan to sit at home and see what's been produced for the day, for the week, when the downtime has been. He can go look and see what machines are running, how many parts they're running, if they're on tact or not. We used to have a tact board in our shop. There was a whiteboard, go write how many parts you had, how many you're supposed to make, you see the difference. That's kind of where OnTact started, was that whiteboard. And we just went to, let's make this smarter, better, faster, easier, less manual entry and all of that. So really taken off with that. And I have a few customers now, and it's going super well. We're actually going to SHOT Show this next weekend to go show it off. Have our own booth up there at the supplier showcase, and yeah, excited about it.
It sounds like I need to tag you in the video as well, Arthur. I see your wheels spinning.
Yeah. Well, it just like when you're talking, I love all of it. Don't get me wrong, but the software side, that you called it OnTact, is that right?
Yeah. Yep, OnTact.
Okay. But when so a couple areas that manufacturers out there, anyone listening, probably struggles in, is making sure their PM happens and making sure the tool changes happen, especially in a highly productive environment where there's not a dedicated person per machine. So the fact that the software can tag in there to make sure, okay, before you set up the next job, hey, do this PM, we got that rush out, or hey, change this tool so we can run the 10,000 part, 100 parts, whatever that is so neat. I'm excited for you guys to be at the SHOT Show to show this off, and the interest that you're going to be able to bring it up to bring more manufacturers in from the few customers you already have, to just grow that client base, because there's a huge demand for that in machine shops out there. That's crazy. I didn't even know that existed. Thank you. That's wild.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't exist, and then Nathan created it.
Yeah, well, there's a demand. There's nothing in the market except for this that I'm aware of when it comes, especially the PM angle, right? Like, that's wild.
So Nathan and Catherine have been friends with the folks, with Rob Karen and the folks over at Karen Engineering, for a long time. And Rob has been doing this for, I don't even know, 3-4 decades at this point. Where
Well,
he
it's a
was.
different tool.
What's
So
that?
it's a different tool. They work super well together, but I don't want to say that they're the same thing and confuse people.
No. I'm definitely getting to that. It's not the same thing. But Rob Karen's been doing this for 3-4 decades. He's one of the most forward-thinking people I know when it came to the digitalization or understanding how a machine will work. And Nathan grasped this about a decade or so ago. And that when I first filmed the open house, it was in partnership with Karen. And then we've talked multiple times about doing continued content there. But to Catherine's point, they don't compete with each other. They just enhance each other. So Nathan's figured out points that are something he still needs to wants to have information about. And Rob has some of the best technology on the planet through Karen Engineering of understanding, speeds and feeds, where to lower it down, speed it up, this TMAC system that he has, and Catherine, I'll let you explain, but in working in combination, it's like the best of both worlds. Welcome back, my friends. Something that is near and dear to my heart, you probably heard me say that before, is women in manufacturing. I have two of the loveliest ladies with me on camera today. I have Catherine, I have Alyssa. We're at Wolfram Manufacturing, hence the cool logo behind me. And we're going to share a little bit about their story. And why are we doing that? Because we want more women in manufacturing, please.
Why women? Because women haven't figured out that we're here yet, right? Like, it wasn't an option when I was growing up. Manufacturing wasn't engineering, sure. So my mom did it, she drafted things, but the actual creation and building, that part of it just is really, it's available, it's there. And I don't think it's shown to, or it wasn't when I was growing up, shown to those young women yet. And so bringing in more people, we're gonna have a better output. Like, people are people. You bring in more people, diversity, you're gonna see different things, learn different things. Everybody has their own voice and opinions and background, and they're all important.
Absolutely. Yeah, TMAC is a pretty incredible tool. Thinking about running without it, it like makes my heart kind of race, because I'm like, how do you run a machine tool and not know like the horsepower trend, and like, because you can't hear these things anymore, right? There's high pressure coolant going, like there's the cutting sounds, there's another machine, there's someone else in the back cutting something. Like, you just can't run them anymore without TMAC. Like, you have to have some visual idea of what's going on inside that machine, and TMAC gives you that. And then it also gives you the protection of stopping the machine tool when something bad does happen. Because like we said, manufacturing, something's going to break. It's, if you can stop it from, smashing a tool completely, that's great. If you just chipped an end mill and now you just need to change the tool and move on, it's going to stop the machine safely and give you the ability to do that. So yeah, TMAC has been, we don't run it without TMAC anymore. Like, we don't say, okay, well, I guess we're going to be down for an hour. We know we had internet or power or Texas weather came through, and sometimes there's a freeze and you just can't do anything about it, or somebody hit a telephone pole. But it's not fun to run without TMAC. It always makes everybody a little more on edge. And, so that's like one of the first thing we do with our new machines is we put TMAC on that guy, and so that we can see what's happening inside that machine tool. And it works really well with OnTact, like, because you can go in and look at a specific part, and you can click in. If something does go wrong, you can click that part and pull up the data from it, so you can see the actual cutting like paths. Not the paths, the horsepower that it took to cut that tool. So you can click into a very specific measurement when something does go wrong, if something does go wrong. So
Well, Arthur, when Catherine's describing this and the nerves that come when T-Mac isn't on there, when, on tech's not running, I never had these gifts. Did you when you were in a machine shop?
No, I'm sitting here, I'm like flashing back to all the headaches and the stresses I had while running machines because the programs move so fast that even if I was there and I did hit e-stop, I still wasn't saving that tool. Like there was no way, feeding at 200 inches a minute, I can't save an end mill. Like
No, the end mill's gonna be toast, but like the body isn't.
well, yeah, thankfully,
Or
maybe.
if you hit the body, then you're not gonna hit like the turret, right? So it's just kind of
Yeah.
exponential.
Oh, I am definitely
You're gonna hit it hard.
especially first go round, the single block king with rapids and feeds turned all the way down. And just slowly inching in to make sure nothing's going to smash, because if programs are done correctly, you're only a couple thou away from your part anyway. And it's hard to see. You're just hoping you don't smash something. And these systems, what are we in now? 2025, around this time. I stopped my actual being on a shop floor machining career about 2013 or 14, my first couple of years at Air Turbine. And throughout all the places I went, I never had any of these gifts. I mean, I make jokes sometimes about, being a bad machinist. I wasn't. I was a great machinist, but I also fell into the world of, running machines that didn't work hardly themselves and needing to repair it, or having zero of these extras that go outside of me programming line by line and making sure that I get my decimals, my positives, and my negatives correctly in every direction that I'm going, and so on and so forth. I guess sometimes I really just wish I could get back on the shop floor and just have fun out there with the machinists again,
Oh, no.
Yeah, you invite me back out to Austin, Texas?
Anytime, Tony.
Oh, I'm not mad about that. We can go to a soccer game too, right?
Yeah, you see my posters on the wall?
Of course. And how did Austin FC end up this year? They do okay, or they not do? No.
An off year. We are in a rebuilding year now. We have a new sporting director, a new coach, several new players. One of the U.S. men's national team players just signed with us, so super excited that. Brennan Vasquez, striker. We haven't had like a traditional striker in a long time, so I'm pretty excited about 2025 season.
And will you be going with season tickets regularly?
Yes.
You may have seen me, for those of you watching on YouTube and not just listening on Spotify, you may have seen me disappear from my screen. And the last time I was in Texas, I was gifted this amazing shirt from Arma, and maybe I'll get to play on the team. Who knows? They put my name on the back, but I got myself a jersey.
That one's out now. There's a new one coming in.
Oh, yeah? But I change it all the time, huh?
Every year we get a new jersey. This year's a new home jersey. So we'll see what that looks like.
Sexy. Yeah, and I know it. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Yeah, anyway.
But I do like the Lost Voices kit you have there. It's a good.
Yeah, I'm not mad about that at all. I love it. Arthur, before I move on to some entertaining and fun questions and or games, as we're winding down this podcast, and we always like to have fun, and Catherine's already been incredibly entertaining. Is there anything else you want to dive in before we slide into the humorous side of manufacturing?
Yeah, just the last question. I know you just talked about like the new title that's coming and you guys still have to finalize it and all of that, but where do you see your career going in like the next 5 years? Do you see it growing into this new role? Is there a new title down 5 years from now? Where do you see your path taking you?
That's a good question. It kind of depends on where we land with this title, and if it's not
That's
the title, the reach one, then the reach one will be the reach, So I'm excited about it. Been with this company a long time and seen a lot of growth, and it's hard to see the future, So day by day, one day at a time, one challenge at a time, and have fun with it while it's here.
And speaking of having fun, can I ask you a couple of fun questions, which I think are entertaining, as someone like myself who fell into this accidentally and being one of the most amazing women that I know?
Sure.
Oh, I like your willingness. It's that yes thing again, right? That's how we all got here.
Just say yes.
Just say yes. Have you seen that movie with Jim Carrey?
Yes, yes, man, right?
Yeah, yes, man.
It's been a while. I should go back and watch it.
That's freaking hilarious, that guy. All right, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, and we can talk about this a little bit. Author, I like to bring you into this as well, so I'm going to ask you the same question.
Yeah.
But they're fun, right? They're fun. So I'm reading through all of these intriguing things that I've Googled and researched and pulled up through time that I think are entertaining. And the one that's popping up to me right now today is, if you could go back in time to witness the making of any historical product, what would it be? Like anything throughout time, maybe the first car, who knows? But what would be the first thing you'd go back in time to see, Catherine?
Loom.
What'd you say?
A loom.
What is that?
Weaving. Loom.
Oh, wait, that's a fancy word for weaving, huh?
A loom? Yeah, that's the machine that it's made on. Like
Man,
that's what you weave with.
I did start this off by saying you were smarter than me, right? That's how I started this podcast. I'm just making sure the audience knows that I said that from the get. I started it off with that. All right, so tell me why that would be what you want to see.
Oh, it's fascinating. That's how Toyota got his start, right? Like weaving in general is just this creation of, like, you take the plant and you make the fibers out of it, and then you build the fibers that you made into a fabric that's usable for anything. So yeah, I think a loom is a pretty significant impact to humanity, and I think it'd be fascinating to kind of see people put that together.
That's a good choice. I wouldn't have even thought of that. And in fact, now that you say that out loud, I went walking through the Muratech facility not too long ago in North Carolina, and they are one of the world leaders in textiles, textile manufacturing. And I saw this machine. Let's just say it probably had about 50 individual looms on it, and it was so wild to see this very wide material kind of been taken down into a tiny little string, and a couple of other components added to it for, strength or whatever it needs for the material. But it is the first time I had ever seen it so close firsthand, and I think it'd be cool to see how that was the genesis of that as well. It'd be kind of neat to see. Good choice, author. We've given you enough time to think of your answer. What do you think?
Mine's Henry Ford. I idolize Henry Ford and everything he brought to automation and assembly lines, and just that whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Like that mindset for me. So if I could go back to see anything, it would be like Henry Ford first setting up the assembly line. Like what I would love to be there for that, for like the inception of the first assembly line. That would be my thing.
Hey there, manufacturers. Need to sell your surplus CNC machinery? Whether it's vertical machining centers, CNC lathes, or machines from top brands like Yazda, Matsur, or Watchon, let me introduce you to Revelation Machinery. If you've never worked with a used machinery dealer before, here's what you're missing. Selling equipment on your own can mean long waits, low offers, and lots of time chasing leads. Revelation Machinery changes the game, bringing nationwide exposure to your machines. Their team is located across the USA, so wherever you are, you've got a local expert on your side. Revelation doesn't just list your equipment, they use targeted marketing methods to get your machines in front of serious buyers. Revelation Machinery is committed to fair pricing, full transparency, and taking care of the details. From paperwork to logistics and even rigging if you need it, they're there every step of the way so you're not juggling any part of the process alone. Ready to let a trusted partner handle the heavy lifting? Head to revelationmachinery.com/the Gunn Show to see how easy it is to